Oh.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Prism Files. Hello, welcome. Sit on down, have a drink, or don't. It's your business, really. I don't know why I would tell you to. It's your life. Hey, listen, you're here to listen to funny stuff. So I'm here joined by Dan.
Yeah, and here to remind you, drink water.
Hydrate.
Hydrate.
If you don't, we know where you are.
Yep.
So on today's episode of the Prism Files today, we wanted to talk about the Sketched Out Orchestra.
Ooh.
Some of you...
they made the intro and the outro.
They did.
Yeah.
What a bunch of talented musicians. I heard they're also extraordinarily handsome and or beautiful.
Wow.
So...
I don't know who told you that.
Yeah. Liars.
Apparently.
All right. So for any of you who don't know, the Sketched Out Orchestra is me.
It's you.
Hello. Yeah. I am the Sketched Out Orchestra. Thank you. So I make music. I make all my music through GarageBand. I use the Apple loops that are within GarageBand, which if you don't know what an Apple loop is, it's basically just a preset instrumental loop that plays some notes, and then I fiddle around with those loops to make it sound like what I'm looking for, and I add a bunch of loops all together to create a song. I believe the technical term for it is called plunderphonics, and
okay,
it is legitimately called plunderphonics, and that is how I make my music.
I mean, I've heard sampler before, like... Yeah,
I mean, they are technically samples, but it's like the act of taking all of those samples and putting them together, the style of that is called plunderphonics.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
It's like, this is my plunderphonics.
I'm gonna plunder these phonics and make me music.
Yes.
Heading out on the 7 seas with me plunder and me phonics. And and me soundproof foam and me roadcaster.
Yo ho ho and a bottle of sound.
Anyway, enough pirate jokes. So we wanted to talk to you guys about, where did the Sketched Out Orchestra start? And so the Sketched Out Orchestra started as a artist known as Ballad of the Snails.
I forgot you named it Ballad of the Snails.
Yes.
I remember the mascot too.
Yep.
Oh man.
So a long time ago in the year of 2018.
Yeah.
I believe it might have been before that, but I'm pretty sure it's 2018. Dan's dying. Remembering that year.
That year of cringe.
That far off year of 2018.
What happened in 2018? Who knows?
Who knows? But it was cringe.
100%.
When I was making my Instagram account, I needed a name, and I was like, "Hey, ballad _of_the_ snails," and I was like, "I love this name. It's really cool," and so I ended up using it for my artist name when I went to go start making music. I started on SoundCloud, as all musicians did at this time.
Good or bad.
Good or bad. And I posted my first album on January 15th of 2018 under the title Ballad of the Snails. Now, this album was actually a collaboration album. Yes, this was the collaboration album. This was my first ever album, and it was a collaboration between me, Dan here, our friend Flynn, and James Hurley.
Wasn't that Through the World? I don't think that was Ballad of the Snails. I think Ballad of the Snails was something else.
Ballad of the Snails was my artist name, and my first album was Through the World, and that was a collaboration album. Ballad of the Snails.
Through the World? Was that Ballad of the Snails?
Originally, yes.
Oh. Because I remember that as the Sketched Out Orchestra alone. That's why I was like, huh?
Yes.
Okay.
On SoundCloud, I had labeled everything as Ballad of the Snails. And then eventually, I think I switched everything to Shooting Star Studios. And then I switched everything over to Sketched Out Orchestra once I made the trek over to like Spotify and DistroKid and all that stuff. But I'm getting ahead of myself.
Fair enough.
So all of my albums were coming out on SoundCloud at this time under Ballad of the Snails. And the first album was Through the World. It was a collaboration album. I asked a bunch of people to come together and make songs. The basics for Through the World was essentially just you're walking through the world and what song would play when you're in this biome of the world. So like you're in the freezing glaciers, what would that sound like? Oh, you're in the forest, what would that sound like? Oh, you're underwater, what would that sound like? Very video gamey.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Like that was the whole point of this album, was it was supposed to be very video game heavy and like as if it was like a video game soundtrack.
I think me and Flynn had like that same vibe when trying to help with the songs on that. We're like, what would this sound like in a Zelda level or something?
Exactly, which is what I was looking for. So it was perfect. And basically what happened was, I think James had the same mindset too, but he's more of a musician than I was at the time. So he was thinking along the lines of kind of both, where he was thinking musically, but also for the video game, which is great. But in any case, there was no actual... Exactly. Yeah. Also, there was no video game. This was just pretend. But I want to make that clear.
This was us hoping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was just making music in the style of a video game. Also, I want to apologize really quick. I know I sound terrible. I'm getting over a cold, so I'm very stuffy right now. So context. Regardless.
I was sick. I sound very...
I mean, I sound like all the time, but it's really bad right now.
So now it's like... That actually hurt my throat.
We don't like children's music. No.
What music are you into?
I like this. It's very mature. Or grown up.
It was very grown up.
Okay. How fitting, this is the music episode.
It's just the pig rap.
Wait, what is that from?
I don't know.
It's the pig rap. Ow, I just hurt my throat. What is that from?
Do the pig rap.
If any of you know what that's from, I think it's a Nickelodeon property. If any of you know where that's from, please, for the love of God, leave it in the comments, or like go to the YouTube version if you're on Spotify and leave it in the comments.
If I can find it quick enough, I will stick it in this audio now. If not, it's just going to be a moment of uncomfortable silence.
That would be hilarious.
Well, we're going to find out one way or the other.
Yes, we will.
Yes. Okay, so back to the sketched out orchestra.
Back to the topic at hand here.
Right.
So I released a few albums under Ballad of the Snails. I believe I released Through the World Reimagined, which was just taking all the Through the World concept and making it entirely on my own. And I believe that's as far as I got. Maybe I did. I think I did a few others, but I think at that time I had rebranded to the Sketched Out Orchestra. My memory on it is a little fuzzy.
I know it was, I guess now it was Ballad of the Snails. That was a piece of information that was lost to my time. But there was also, I think it was Warp Star at one point.
It was like Warp Star Studios, but then Shooting Star Studios.
Yeah, you switched it to that because Warp Star was essentially the name of the item from Kirby.
Yeah.
And you were concerned with copyright stuff.
Yes, exactly. And then eventually I switched it to the Sketched Out Orchestra, which
overall fits your vibe a little bit better.
Oh yeah, absolutely, especially nowadays. And it's funny because that name came from, if anybody knows this, the game A Hat in Time.
Oh, it's such a good game.
There's a song in it called The Big Band or something like that.
Oh, wait, The Big Parade, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the level where you're walking around like all on the rooftops of that one stage.
It came from that because I was thinking of like, because all like the instrument people are following you and stuff, and you're basically the leader of this big parade, and like all these band members, and so I thought about, at the time I was thinking about like my characters and stuff, and a lot of them were heavily cartoonish, and so I was like, oh, that's interesting. It's like a sketched out orchestra. And then that's where it came from.
And then your brain was like, write that down, write that down.
Yeah, so that's exactly where it came from. And I rebranded everything. It was a much better name. Eventually, I started releasing all of my music through DistroKid, which none of you know, DistroKid is a music service that allows you to upload all of your music to like every single streaming platform imaginable.
Yep.
It's fantastic. I love it. You do have to pay for it, but it is so worth it, and I love it. It's really fun.
Because it gets your music everywhere.
It gets your music everywhere, and also you don't have to go through like an agency or anything like that. You can do it, or like a record label. You can just do it entirely yourself. So I do it. So I have a record label. Technically, it's under Bioprism Records. So There you go. So if any of you want to release your music through there, check out DistroKid. It's a fantastic investment.
Yep, 100% would recommend. I would not be able to listen to my favorite sketched out orchestra songs otherwise.
And you can too. If you go to Spotify or iTunes, search up the Sketched Out Orchestra. Make sure to follow us and always make sure to listen to the latest hits when they come out.
Yeah.
Sorry, I have to do that. It's mandatory.
No, yeah, 100%. Every time we say the Sketched Out Orchestra. Now available on Spotify. No, I'm kidding.
Make sure you check us out on other services as well, like Deezer.
What?
Yeah, that's real.
Deezer nuts?
Doesn't quite work, but doesn't quite roll off the tongue, does it?
I mean, unless you're saying like D's her nuts, but like,
well, that's a can of worms we shouldn't open or probably keep on the podcast because this is supposed to go on BCAT.
Oops. I also just remembered I can't say the funny F word.
You can't say fun.
Do I say? I have to cut that out now.
And then I actually almost swore for real. I was like, wait, no, I can't swear. So anyway.
Okay.
So after I got the Sketched Out Orchestra name, I rebranded all my album art. And I started releasing my stuff through DistroKid. Fun fact, the other day, just because we were looking up when my original album got released, I knew it was 2018, but I forgot the exact date. There's somebody named S.A. Music.
Yeah, you mentioned that yesterday to me.
Yeah, I followed them on SoundCloud like a little while ago. They make fantastic music, by the way. If you don't know, it's s.a.music. And they make really good music, and it's all like based on like either Thomas the Tank Engine or Sonic the Hedgehog or Synthwave and stuff. It's really good. He makes really good stuff. Go check him out. And he followed me back. And the only reason why I'm bringing that up is because I'm excited about it and it makes me really happy. And
it's
that's
like this is the Mega G Wolf of this episode of the audio world.
This is the Mega G Wolf commenting on my YouTube equivalent of my music career.
Correct. Yeah.
And so it was very exciting for me. So I wanted to just say that. But anyway,
very, very good. Very good.
So we kind of talked about Through the World already, that collaboration album. Through the World Reimagined. It is literally exactly what I said. I just took Through the World, but redid all the songs by myself.
Yep.
We then move on to Concept to Cancellation Volumes 1 and 2.
Actually, before we get to that, can I just say that when we did Through the World,
yes,
I think we also released that through YouTube, if I'm not mistaken. That was released
maybe?
The only reason I say that is because I remember there was a complication with my song specifically.
That's right. Dan's
Lost in the Woods.
So here's the thing that I'll mention about, because this will encompass kind of everything. When I wanted to upload anything to YouTube that had my music in it, YouTube would copyright strike it because we're not the only people doing this.
Correct.
There are other people who are using GarageBand and using those loops to make music, and they're distributing them through services. It's all royalty free, so we're allowed to do it, but because other people are doing it, it's flagging our music. Yep. Because it sounds like somebody else's song. So I have to disclaim, I have to go to YouTube and I have to be like, listen, this is my music, but we're making it through GarageBand and everybody's using these loops. Yes. So that's why it sounds like another song. So that is a problem we've been running into every once in a while. I know it happened with Dan's. I think it happened twice with yours.
Did it happen twice with me?
I feel like it happened twice with you. But like, I know it happened with Lost in the Woods. And it's just so frustrating because it's like, I get it, YouTube. It's your algorithm. It's your AIs viewing the videos. I get it. But come on, cut me some slack.
It's like, come on, guys. Like, this is still original music. It's just using pre-existing sounds.
Yeah.
I guess I just have similar music taste to somebody else.
Maybe. But it was a whole situation. It's fine because when I submit that, they're immediately like, oh, yeah, okay, good point. And then they take it off. So it's fine.
All right, yeah.
But it's just a pain in the butt.
Okay. I just wanted to throw that out there because that seemed like an interesting
fun
stepping
trivia.
Stone. Yeah,
fun trivia. So to tie back, yes, the next albums that I made, or I guess albums in quotes, the next EPs that I made were Concept to Cancellation Volumes 1 and 2. Concept to Cancellation came around because when I was in high school, I had to do an internship. My internship was through the school, and it was with a professor that did technical work in game design. I decided that I would make 3 different video game concepts. I made a concept for a story-driven platformer. I made a concept for a kart racer. And then I made a concept for a beat 'em up, like a side-scrolling beat 'em up.
I actually helped you with this one.
Yes, you did. Dan
Yeah.
helped me with the art assets
Yep.
for those. And I made music for these as well. And that's what Concept to Cancellation was that it's like I concepted these games, but ultimately they got canceled because I'm not a game designer and I couldn't make them.
That's fair, yeah.
Yeah, so they went from concept to cancellation. And so all of the songs that I made for those games are now out on streaming services for people to enjoy because I like the songs enough to release them. And then the same thing happened with Concept to Cancellation Volume 2 is I designed a bunch of music that I never ended up putting into an album or putting anywhere. And because of that, I was like, okay, well, I don't want these songs to just go to waste. So I'll just release them in another Concept to Cancellation because it is still technically like I had a concept for an album, but it never came to be, and it technically got canceled. So it's like, all right, so I'll do Concept to Cancellation Volume 2, but it was for albums.
Yeah.
So that's where those came from. And then my next album was called VHS Arcadia, which its full title is VHS Arcadia, the Vaporwave album. And no,
Vaporwave album.
yes. Now, that's what it says.
Oh yeah, it does say that.
That's what it says on the cover art, yes.
Why is this listed as a single?
It's listed as an EP.
No, it's listed as a single.
Well, it's under singles/EP. Spotify's weird.
I was gonna say Spotify just says singles, but I'm gonna roll with it. Keep going.
Yeah, Spotify just says singles, but these are EPs too.
Yeah, I can because I opened Concept to Cancellations, and yes, they are definitely multiple songs.
Yes.
which is confusing me because it's like, why would they say singles if they're not singles?
I don't really get Spotify. I don't know why they do that. I don't know why they classify. They changed their album total because it used to be 6, now it's 8. Which is why VHS Arcadia went from being an album to an EP.
That's odd.
It is odd, and it frustrated me because the album art literally says the Vaporwave album on it,
And it's not
and it's an
considered
EP.
an album.
Yeah. But I left it because I thought it was funny.
I mean, it kind of is. It's like it's a piece of its time now.
Yeah.
Where it's like it was an album, I guess now it's not.
Exactly. And so I was like, you know what? I think it's funny that it just says the Vaporwave album on it when it's clearly an EP. So I was like, yeah, screw it. I'll leave it. But VHS Arcadia was like one of my favorite albums at the time that I made because that's kind of where I found my sound. I started to really figure out like what I wanted my music to be. And
There was kind of like not quite the Renaissance, but like close.
it was a renaissance.
It was a, I guess coming of age would be a little bit closer. Because Renaissance was closer to like, I want to say Welcome to My Dreams was like when you like really, really hit your stride.
That I agree. I definitely agree.
Yeah. So like that's where your Renaissance came in.
That is true. I definitely agree with that. I think that VHS Arcadia was a very necessary stepping stone to reach that point.
Yeah. It was so technically your VHS Arcadia was your pre. Never mind. I was trying to say like pre-Renaissance, but I was going to be like pre-Naissance, but like that sounds not good.
I saw the
Sounds like a disease.
I saw the steam from Dan's brain rising from his head. Like he just broke down. It was like,
Yeah, I can feel all the veins in my brain being like, no. It's not a good feeling. Anyway,
but
back to this music.
so after that, I created technically it's an EP called the Bloom for Brawl original soundtrack.
Right.
Which Bloom for Brawl was a game that my friends were working on at the time. And so I was like, hey, do you want music? You want music for that? And they were like, yeah, okay. So I was like, hey, let me make some tunes. So I made some songs for them, and that's where that came from. I made the album art. I just took their sprite assets and I upscaled them to HD. I had a lot of fun with that because I feel like a lot of games in the past would do that.
Oh, yeah.
Like Mega Man. Like, have you ever seen the original the original cover art for Mega Man?
I can't say I have.
It's just a dude with a gun.
I believe that.
Like, it's not even it's not even an arm cannon. It's just a guy with a gun. Like a real gun.
I'm going to look it up right now.
Like Japan.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Like Japan used like cartoony art style for it because Japan made it and like they knew what it was. But when it came over to the States, it's just a man in like a motorcycle outfit with a gun.
I'm looking at Mega Man 9 and this is the weirdest thing.
It's the first one is even weirder.
I'm looking at Mega Man 9. It's just a man with a gun and also a blaster hand in the middle with like I'm guessing it's Dr. Wily, but he looks like he's a cyborg now.
That might be true. I don't know.
I don't know.
I never played Mega Man.
He had some weird stuff going on. Oh my God, the original Mega Man's even weirder.
I told you.
God, that's so bizarre.
He just has a gun.
Yeah, he just has a gun and he's just kind of he's like standing in a horse stance with his elbows far away from him.
Yeah.
And his hands like as close together as possible.
That's awful.
It's so weird.
But I wanted to capture that with this album cover where it's like you see the sprites and then you see the cover art and it's close. Maybe not exact, but it's pretty close.
It's closer to what the designers had intended for what these things were supposed to be.
Right.
And because was this game like 8-bit or something? I never actually saw the game.
It was all sprites. It was like 16-bit.
Did it play like Asteroids?
Yes. Yeah. It was basically Asteroids.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember because it's been a while, but I'm pretty sure it's just an Asteroids clone.
Probably. I genuinely don't know because I haven't seen it.
Right.
But I just know you made the music for it and you upscaled the art.
Yes.
Because you want it to look as good as possible.
Exactly.
And I think that turned out really well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The next album, actually, this was a single. It's called Reversing Time. This was really when my art style, I feel like, popped off.
Like when your like the art itself started?
Yeah, the art started to pop off a little bit because it's pretty nice, in my opinion.
I mean, it is. It is pretty nice. Like, it's not like your best work ever done.
No, but it was for the time, it was one of my best.
But it's clear you were starting to gain an understanding of an environment.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially urban ones.
Sure, exactly.
Yeah.
And this single was made because my friend James Hurley was making a collaboration album, and he asked everybody to make a song for the album. And so that was my song for the album, and he said that I was allowed to release it as a single.
Okay.
As well. So that's where that came from, and that's why that one exists.
How generous of him to allow you to use your own song.
I mean, fair, but also at the same time, the point of making the song was to be a part of the collaboration album.
Which, yes, that makes sense, but at the same time, with at least the kind of song that it was, that you did the entire thing yourself, that one's on you.
I don't know. I get his point, though, but whatever. It's fine. The point is that it's uploaded. It's out.
I mean, it's not like Gorillaz, where like Gorillaz, like they'll collaborate with all of these different people, and every song will be like a collaboration with somebody. But they're still under the Gorillaz name.
Yeah, well, I think this was originally made for like SoundCloud, so we couldn't really like share credit or anything, because you know how like some songs will say like this was made by like, oh no, I forgot her name.
Well,
but it's like
Spotify will have like that thing where if there's a song with multiple artists in it, it will literally label every artist that was involved, unless it was in the title.
Sure, they do the thing where it's like, oh, featuring this person.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess it just depends. But like sometimes they'll put both artists in the artist area.
Yeah, they will do that sometimes too.
Yeah, I can't remember. I was going to use an example from Owl City collabed with, I forget her name. It sounds so much like Duolingo, but it's not. I know it's not Duolingo.
What?
It's like Dua Lipo or crud. I forget her name. I like her music too, and I'm really sad that I'm getting this wrong. But so I'm just gonna say Owl City and Duolingo.
Match made in heaven.
Yeah. Oh my god.
I don't know why, but my my brain. My brain goes to the stupid, WhatsApp, the like.
Yeah.
My brain is just like, oh yeah, Owl City Duolingo. They just made the WhatsApp jingle.
Yeah. Oh, here's the song.
Oh, you found it?
I found the song, yeah. Wait, what?
What?
That's not right. That's not right at all.
What do you mean?
It's misattributed.
How do you know?
Why is it misattributed? Oh, wait, no. I think I'm just an idiot.
I was gonna say, hold on.
I guess I just thought it was her. Oh my God, it's Dua Lipa.
Dua Lipa?
Yeah, Dua Lipa.
I don't know who that is.
She made songs you'd recognize, but the point is that it's not Duolingo.
No, it's not Duolingo.
So, oops.
Know this for sure. It is not Duolingo.
It is not Duolingo. So the next thing that I did, at least on Spotify, the next thing that I did is it's an album called Singly Unified.
You did do that.
Which was literally just I combined all my singles from SoundCloud into one album. And they were singly unified. All the singles got unified.
All the single ladies put their hands up.
Yeah, exactly. I used to make these small EPs called cassettes where it had 3 songs in them.
I remember you doing that.
Yeah,
I don't remember them very well though.
Because the cassettes, there actually were a few songs that you might recognize from them, but
maybe
the idea was that the cassettes. I love like old media. And like cassettes were so interesting because it had one big song on one side and then 2 smaller songs on the other. And that was kind of the whole thing.
What cassettes were you listening to?
Cassettes only had like 3 songs on them.
What are you talking about? They had whole albums on those things.
I'm telling you what I was told.
What?
So then somebody lied to me.
Someone definitely lied to you.
So,
or either that or I know some cassettes had like demo songs on them where they'll have like 2 or 3 just as
maybe
like
it was
sampler.
cassette demos. I don't know. Point is, I made these albums. I made these EPs called cassettes. The first one was called Cassette ABC. The second one was called Burnt Out. The third one was called Banana Waffle.
Yup.
And yeah, that's all I really have to say about those. It was just a creative outlet for me to make 3 songs that didn't really connect with each other and just release it. And I put them under cassettes. And then I put all my singles and cassettes together into Singly Unified.
Yep.
So reversing time, although I had to keep separate for specific reasons.
Oh, I figured because that one was a little bit more like, that was the collaboration one.
Yeah.
So you wanted to make sure that that had its own agency.
Yeah.
Other than James's album.
Right.
Which makes sense. That makes total sense.
But I think he didn't want it to be a part of an album. He was like, just make it its own.
Its own thing.
Its own thing. I was like, that's fine, whatever.
That makes sense.
So this brings us to That One Spaghetti album.
We don't have to talk about that.
It was an experimental album where the titles of the songs basically taught you how to make spaghetti.
No, they were just the ingredients, weren't they?
Well, yes. It was the ingredients, but it was like the layers that it took to make spaghetti, basically.
Yes.
And it was fine. It's not great, but it's fine. Like, I like the names of each of the songs, but the songs themselves are pretty mid. The only one that I really liked was called, like, Spaghetti Airlines or something.
It was something like that. I'm trying to remember. Because we did a Pixar experience at one point where we had to do a bunch of essentially storyboarding to create a story. And I would do the editing together. And over voiceover, I would put music behind it. Mm-hmm. One of the songs I used was from That One Spaghetti album. I think it was either Spaghetti Airlines or the Noodle Express.
I think you used both.
Maybe. No, I only used one. It actually might have been just Spaghetti Airlines.
Okay.
I'd have to look at the video again, but I just don't feel like it.
I can't get over that name. Spaghetti Airlines. It's funny because the song is so, like, it's not serious, but it's very melodramatic. And it's like, all my music, by the way, has no lyrics. I want to say that right now. But it's like, it's very melodramatic and it's very peaceful and it's very nice. And the name is so stupid. It's so silly. But that's what I love about my music is that it's kind of its own breed.
Yeah.
of humor, and I think it's funny.
You just hear the song title and you're like, what does that sound like? And then you listen to it and you're like, yup, that's what that sounds like.
That is what that would sound like.
Yeah. You hear Spaghetti Airlines and you're like, yup, I'm on an airline with spaghetti.
Yeah, exactly.
Yup, totally.
So, unfortunately, that's all the time we have for this episode. So I guess we're going to need to do a part 2 on my music stuff because I've literally been doing this for 4 years. And I've released several things, and we still have a lot more to talk about.
Yeah.
But we don't
Can't
want
wait for the Renaissance era.
Oh, dude, it's exciting, and
Yes.
you got to tune in for that, guys.
You really do, because I will gush over how much I love some of this later stuff.
It was a heck of an era for my music. So make sure you tune into the next episode. Thank you guys so much for listening. We appreciate it very much. We hope you have a swell day.
Enjoy March of the Bioprism.
Oh yeah.